Hello, entrepreneurs. This is Joe DeChara coming to you live from downtown Flushing, New York, once again for another amazing episode of How to Win at Business. And after all this time, I forgot to shut off my cell phone. So that's okay. I'll let it go into voicemail, and I won't listen to it because I don't listen to voicemail. If you're listening live, please give me a hashtag live. If you're listening to the replay, give me a hashtag replay, because that's what my friend Haley Gray taught me to do. I don't really know why, but when you get people that know what they're doing and they tell you what to do, I've learned that it's better to just do it, even if you don't know why. So maybe someday Haley will tell me why, but it doesn't really matter if you don't know me, if you're here by accident. I am a CPA. I specialize in working with brand new business owners, sole proprietors, solopreneurs, people that typical CPAs and CPA firms and enrolled agents don't want to deal with. It is an unserved market, and there are about 25 million of them. I can't possibly handle all of them. I'm trying to, but it's probably going to be too much for me. So if you're a tax person and you want to get in on this market, please, connect with me, because we need affiliates. We need people that are going to help us help them. There's only so much that we can do. And I have no problem with sharing in the wealth. There's plenty of business out there. And, there's people with major tax problems. And I'm going to tell you why. There is a serious shortage of qualified tax people out there. Not only is there a shortage, but there is an abundance of schlock tax preparers, people that should be put in jail, people that are criminals. And I'll tell you why I'm saying this and where I'm coming from. I have seen a numerous returns prepared by other CPA firms, other enrolled agents, because of the nature of the market that I'm in. I've just never seen so many other accountants work, and it is shocking. It is shocking. And I'll tell you a few examples. I had a client, he was in the pool industry, and it was kind of strange, because the first thing I noticed was that his corporation did not have Inc. on it. It did not say Inc. I check these, I go to the Secretary of State and I check the corporate records, because I download that stuff because it's important for future, filings, and just to verify info. So I asked him why he didn't have Inc. on his name, because I didn't even think that was valid, and that technically somebody might be able to say that he wasn't really a corporation. I'm not a lawyer, but the reason why you have to designate yourself as an Inc. or a corp or an LTD is to basically tell the general public and the business world that you're a corporation. You can't just be, you can't get the benefits of the legal protection and the tax benefits if you're not really a corporation. And like I said, I'm not an attorney. I've never come across that issue, but I'm sure it is an issue. So, and it has to do with, how you're doing business and the basic structure of how you're operating. So when I asked him this, the answer was that that's what his CPA told him to do, because he'll be able to cash checks and they won't know that it's a corporation. Now, I saw his tax returns. It says CPA on there. I didn't check if they're with the state, but what this guy was doing, so he was cashing about $300,000 worth of checks a year so that he could pay his people off the books. And this is what his accountant coached him on. Now, he's in the state of California, and if you're in the state of California, You know the issues that they have with independent contractors, what they're doing. So let's say you hire people and they're actually legal. You know, it's not illegal to pay cash. It has to be reported. And when you're doing cash, you're under the microscope. So what he didn't realize is that check cashing places, they're going to ask you for your federal tax ID number. And I'm sure that that goes right to the criminal division of the IRS because that's where they find the drug dealers, the money launderers, and all the criminals. They're trying to hide money. Okay, they're trying to hide money. So that's one CPA firm. And if he's doing that with one client, I guarantee you he's doing it with all of his clients. So that's one case. And recently, you know, and there's a lot of too many cases where they're not criminals. They were just incompetent. They just filed returns. I got one where the CPA firm filed a return that was bizarre. When I looked at it, I said, this just doesn't look right. And that's exactly what the IRS auditor said. He was like, how did they prepare this return? And so she got audited, got hit with a $250,000 tax bill that she doesn't owe. We're going to fix it. But my advice to her was to go to the district attorney and report the firm because it was fraud. And there's a couple of things, like what was their motive for doing this? Why would a CPA firm? Well, in that case, they got her back 100% of the money that she paid in from the W-2 that she shouldn't have even gotten because she was a sole proprietor. Sole proprietors cannot pay themselves. It happens. They do it. But like you're a sole proprietor. You don't get a W-2 from your sole proprietorship. You can get a W-2 from your corporation, but a sole proprietor is a sole proprietor. You're not an employee. You're the owner of your business. So they obviously didn't know what they were doing. And sometimes accountants will do these kind of things because they want to be a hero. They want to be a hero and say, oh, look at all the money I got you. Because sometimes people judge the ability of the accountant on how much money they get back. The only problem with that is most of the time, the money that people get back is money that they paid in already. So you're only getting back your own money. So what happens is, you know, a firm like this, they filed 2017, now it's 2020. It took 2 years for the IRS. It took about 18 months, which is normal for them to pick her as an audit. Okay, so now she's getting audited. It took about another 6 months. She thought it was done. Got no notice. It was a bizarre case. She got no notices because probably, I'm thinking, because the IRS is backed up and the post office is backed up. But I get the information. She had all the information, all of the records she was supposed to have. As far as she knows, the audit was finished. There was no problem because she got her stimulus check. She got her tax refund from 2020. So it wasn't okay. And what happened was all the records that she gave to the accountant, I don't even know if they looked at them because the numbers don't even come close to matching what's on the tax return. So that's another case. One I just saw recently, I didn't take the client because it was issues. But what he had was a case of just total fraud. And I think that they were a criminal enterprise posing as a CPA firm. And what they did was they would prepare his return every year. They would charge him, but they never filed the returns. So what happens, people, is it takes a couple of years for this stuff to surface because So what happened with him was he got a letter saying that his 2017 return was not filed. And then he got one for 2018. So he's wondering, like, I paid them. He had the copies of the returns, but they were never filed. So he went to the firm, asked them what was going on. They had him sign new returns, and they had him sign a document that basically he authorized all of these changes and that they weren't responsible, basically, and now they don't return his calls. The only conclusion that I can come from that is that they weren't a CPA firm or enrolled agents, because you got to be a CPA, enrolled agent, or an attorney to actually electronically file tax returns with the IRS. So if they weren't authorized, they couldn't file the return. And I have seen way, way too many of these either incompetent or actually criminal firms out there. And what does a small business owner do? What does a small business owner do? These people did everything that they probably should have done, not knowing what they could have done, which was question the accountant, start asking for information like your financial statements. Are the accounts being reconciled? How about giving me a general ledger at the end of the year? Okay, how about showing me the confirmation that the return was actually filed and it was accepted? And this is what I do. You know, my clients never ask me for this stuff. And it mystifies, because they trust me. And I understand that. They know, like, and trust me. But this is business. This is business, folks. And I remember a quote, I think Ronald Reagan said, trust but verify. Trust but verify. You know, we make mistakes too. We make mistakes. There's so many numbers. There's so many moving parts. We could get a tax ID number wrong. We can get an address wrong. You know, I just did an amended return and I realized, I looked at it and I know that the guy moved and he still has his old PO box. If I didn't remember that, his refund check would have been mailed to an address and he would not see the check and we would have to find it. So, you know, you need to know what your accountant is doing. You need to be able to verify it, which means that you need some kind of knowledge about what's going on. And, you know, what I posted today was about penalty abatement. And it is related to this topic of schlock accountants and criminal accountants, because what happens is the business owner winds up looking at penalties and interest. The IRS doesn't care that the CPA firm prepared your return. Okay, they don't care. They care at a different level. They are monitoring CPA firms like that. And it might take, you know, 5 years. And that's basically the timeline before the FBI and the IRS start seeing a pattern. You know, they've had algorithms before Google existed. So they're looking at this stuff. They know who's cheating. It's just a matter of allocating their resources on who they want to target. And I'm actually happy that I've heard, you know, in the last couple of years, they actually audit CPA firms. They audit CPA firms, and not just CPA firms, tax preparers, tax preparation firms. When they see a pattern of just bad returns, and that's a good thing. But what does a business owner do when they get hit with these fines and penalties? And I've talked about this plenty of times, and I'm going to keep talking about it because it's not going to stop. It's not going to stop. The machine is in full, is running 24/7, and it's sending out penalty notices. This isn't a penalty notice. What this is, oh, this is a different one. I'm sorry. This was an example of the incompetence of the IRS right now. Let me see if we can get to, okay. So what happened with this case was it was a new s-corp. I forget what happened, to be honest with you. We should have filed an extension. It was late. It was only open for, I think, 2 months at the end of the year, and it slipped through the cracks. I don't remember if I made a mistake, if it was the software, but the extension didn't get filed, and she got hit with a $200 penalty. So now what happens is when you get a penalty, you have a chance to refute it. You have a chance to ask them to remove it based on what they call reasonable cause. Now, what is reasonable cause? It's, a medical condition. I had a heart attack. I had to go to the hospital. Some kind of emergency, natural disasters, COVID. Oh, we'll be using COVID for years as a reasonable cause excuse. Now, another reasonable cause is when you rely on a professional. I'm a professional. I'm a CPA. People that go to bad accountants, criminal accountants, and get hit with penalties. And those would be considered reasonable cause. So my 2017 case, there was like $50,000 in penalties for filing a frivolous return. So even if she owed the income tax, I'm sure that I could get those penalties abated because she had no idea what was going on. She didn't contribute to the fraud. It was all on the accountants. But what people don't realize, folks, what you may not realize is when you sign your return in the fine print, it says there under penalties of perjury. I attest to the fact that all the information here is true and correct and accurate. Okay? So if you think that you're going to be able to, blame it on the accountant, you're wrong. Okay? Either way, if they messed up, you're paying. So if they messed up and you get a penalty, the way to present it is with a letter like this. You address it to wherever the penalty came from. You put your date on it. You tell them what this is about, and all of that information is actually going to be on your penalty notice. So this information right here at the top is crucial because when they open the letter, they need to know exactly what are we talking about here. They're going to take the information from here and plug it into their computer. It makes their job easier. And whenever you can make somebody's job easier, you got a more of a chance of success. So the terminology on here is basically, we request a full abatement of the penalties and interest on this notice based on reasonable cause, and then you give them the facts. I went to an accountant. He prepared my return. I gave him the information. The information he entered was all wrong, and he just gave me bad advice. Okay, whatever it was. And then you say, based on reasonable cause and based on the facts listed above, I believe that we have the facts necessary to have these penalties abated. Okay, and that's a summary. Now, this is a case, this is proof that it works. This is the case where my client got a $200 penalty. This is the letter that I wrote, and I actually blamed it on myself. I am the CPA. I'm a professional. I told her that that we were good. Okay. They came out back with a response. Basically, they said, we're going to give you the abatement because you were a brand new corporation, which is another thing that they do and they don't tell you. So brand new corporations, entities, they'll give you the abatement just based on the fact that you're brand new and you never did this before. Okay, so that's all you can say. I never did this before. I didn't know what I was doing. Please abate the penalty. And then if they say no, you can appeal that. So in this one, they said, hey, we don't care that your CPA made a mistake. You were brand new. We're going to abate the penalty. I would say that my success rate on abating penalties is about 90%, maybe 95%. So it's a done deal when you use the right language, you give them the right terminology, and basically, when you give them what they need to do their job, you make their job easy, and you will succeed. And that's usually the case with a lot of things I'm learning. So that's my story. I'm sticking with it. If you want to contact me at any time, you can go to timewithjoe.com. That's my call to action. I will chat with you, 15, 20 minutes, no charge. If you have a tax problem, if you have a question about your business, that's what I do. It's not about the money, folks. I am in business, and I run a pretty good business. But, if I could just answer somebody's question and help them save money, maybe you'll become a client. I don't know. But as long as I keep doing that and I'm helping people, that I'm good. So, free offer. I hope you take me up on it. That's my story again. I'm sticking with it. God bless. And I will talk to you soon about solving some more small business problems. Thank you.